Hi everyone. Today I'm going to show you how to make soap in a very simple way. So let's start doing this. First of all, the things that you need. Well, I have my recipe here and what I want to put in here and the measurements. This is for later on when we're cutting the soap, basically right here. Then we have the face shield that I need. We need the gloves. We need some distilled water over here. I need a big sort of bowl, stainless steel, to do the mixing. This one I put separately because I measure my lye in here. I have a pot to melt the oils that are a little bit more solid. There's going to be a measuring sort of for measurement of liquids and everything. We have a scale. This is my measuring cup. There's a hand blender. There's also the temperature to tell me what the temperature is. Then this is my measuring spoon. We have a little bit of sugar. There is lye. Now I have put 2 or 3 different types of oils here. You can use only one type of oil if you wish, but I like to mix them because it gives the soap a different consistency. Like I have beef tallow, I have rice bran oil, I have coconut oil, and I have shea butter. But you might even choose to use, let's say, olive oil and shea butter, or olive oil on its own even. And I'm going to make this one sort of to the scent of rose. So here I have the rose oil as well. And then after that, we have, as you see, we have the molds here lined up so that I can put them in the mold, and we can sort of let them set and cut them. So now I'm going to start making the lye solution. So the very first thing is that we're going to be measuring the water, the distilled water that we have. So I'm going to turn the scale on. Now after I put this on, my measuring cup on it, it's going to give me 591. I'm going to tap the on one more time because I want this to turn to 0 so that it's not measuring the weight of the glass but actually the water. Okay, so next I'm going to take the distilled water, and I need, I'm making 20 bars. So for the 20 bars that I'm making, I need somewhere around 500 grams of distilled water. So if I do this, there we go, 502, 503 is close enough. So now, once I have the water there, because I want this soap that I'm making to have a little bit of good lather, then I'm going to add some sugar to it. So let me just actually open the sugar so I don't have to go into that. The sugar is going to be basically just 3 teaspoons, because for this amount of water it's going to be 3 teaspoons. So I'm going to take 1, 2, and 3, and that's about it. So now we put this aside. This needs to be actually melted before I add the lye. So I'm gonna keep going and melting this. So now that the sugar is completely melted, I'm gonna put this aside. Next is for me to make the lye solution. So I'm gonna take this off of this, and I'm going to put my measuring cup for the lye. Let's turn this back to 0, and again back to 0. Now I need 230 grams of lye for that amount of soap. Okay, so I'm just going to pour the lye. When you're working with lye, make sure that you're wearing protective gloves as well as face mask and everything, because the smell of this is basically toxic, right? So at the beginning, but once it goes into the soap, the toxicity is not there anymore. But right now, as it is, you have to be careful when you're pouring it in. So I want to pour out about 230 grams of this. Let me see, maybe I'm better off actually doing it with a spoon than anything else. gonna have to vacuum after this because there's gonna be a little bit of spillage here, so, but it's okay. Okay, that's enough. So now, close up the lid. Before I do anything, I'm gonna put my face shield on basically. So one thing to remember is that because when you add the lye to the water, it's going to be creating heat. You always want to make sure that you add the lye to the water and not water to the lye, okay? Add the lye to the water very gently, and you're going to be stirring it to basically what happens is that at this point the water is going to heat up, and once the water heats up, you want to make sure that you wait until the water reaches the temperature of 38 degrees centigrade or 100 degrees Fahrenheit before you actually add it to the oil mixture that you're going to have. Okay, so this is the main part of it basically, that you're going to have to wait a little bit for this to cool down. I'm going to show you what the temperature of this is after I mix it. You're putting the shield on your face just in case there's any kind of spillage, so that it won't damage your face or your skin in case it touches the gloves or whatever. So you're going to keep stirring this until you see it melted. So now I don't feel any grains in here anymore, so this is fully basically melted, okay? So I'll take this off. But let's see what is the temperature of this right now, actually, after this melting. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it inside this and find out what is it that we are dealing with. So the temperature of the water has gone up to 193 something, right? So I need to wait long enough for this to come down to 100, 105, 104 is all right, but nothing sort of less than that, because otherwise your soap is not going to work out. So I'm going to put this aside and wait for it to cool down. Okay, so now while we're waiting for the lye to cool down, I can mix my oils basically. So again, I'm going to put this on top of this, and I'm going to tap this on to make sure that we are back in zero. Now I have, as I mentioned, I have like beef tallow here, I have coconut oil. Coconut oil adds a little bit more lather to the soap. If you don't want it, you don't have to use it. However, if you use too much of it, then the soap will melt really fast. And I have shea here. So the rice bran, again, you don't have to use rice bran. I like rice bran, but you don't have to use rice bran. You can use even like just simple olive oil if you want to. Or you can make the whole thing just out of olive oil. It doesn't have to be any other oils. I like mixing my oils because it gives different structure to the soap basically. So for this, because I'm making again 20 bars or so, I'm gonna need 1,000 grams of the rice bran oil. I'm gonna need 250 grams of the coconut oil. I'm gonna need 250 grams of beef tallow, and 200 grams of shea butter. So I'm going to measure the ones that are solid, the solid oils, and put them in the pot and sort of bring them to temperature of like 100 degrees or something. Now, I won't melt them until the lye is ready because both of them are going to be 100 degrees, right, when I'm doing this. And the rice bran oil I can just add as is because I don't need to melt this one. And these you're going to be melting on really like low temperature. You don't want them to boil, you don't want them to fizzle, you don't want anything like that. So if I start with the beef tallow that I have, I want to have 250 grams of my beef tallow. So, oh, this turned off. Let me turn it back on. I talked too much, so that turned off. So let's go with 250 grams of this. Let me see. That's 138. I might have to open up a second beef tallow. Let me see. This one was not full anyhow, so. Okay, it's not making it. So give me 1 second to open up a beef tallow and we'll be right back. Have the fresh beef tallow. I'm going to keep adding until I get 250 grams of this. I'm up to 215. There is 244. 255. That's fine. I'm good there. Okay. So now, because I'm going to be melting this, I'm going to put this in a pot and go measure the other oils that I have. So that goes into the pot. And here we are. I don't need this spoon anymore. The next oil that I'm going to tackle is going to be the shea butter. So I have shea butter right here. Again, I have to turn this back to 0. And I want 200 grams of shea butter in this. The shea butter is going to be a little bit tricky for me, but hang in there. It's a harder butter basically. It's not easy to just about there. Need another 30 grams. Let's see. Is this gonna do it? Yep, we're good. So and now I have 202 of the shea butter, basically. So shea butter is gonna go into the same pot because it's gonna be melting. The next butter that I have to deal with, or next oil that I have to deal with, is the coconut oil. And I want 250 grams of coconut oil as well. So let me get rid of this one. Again, here's the coconut oil. And let's set this back to 0. Maybe I need to clean this up too a bit. I have a bit of oil on it. Okay, so set this back to 0, and now I want 250 grams of this one. So let's gather that. Oops. soap anyhow, so. We have 221, so 422. 256 is all right. It's just a little bit over the 250. It's not a big deal. So now we have the oils that need to be, so I can transfer this as well into this pot. Oops. There we go. So later on, once the lye sort of becomes cooler, then we're going to have to melt these basically. So let me just quickly check the temperature of the lye after wiping my hands and see where we stand with the lye right now. So if I take a look at the lye right now, it's down to 164 or 65 type of thing. So we still have another few minutes to go before this comes down to 100 degrees. So we'll wait. Okay, so now we're going to melt the solid oils that we have. I have the butters in here in a pot. I have it on sort of medium heat, not too hot, and I'm just going to wait for this to melt, and we'll continue with the rest of this. Okay, so in here now, while I'm waiting for the other oils to melt, I decided to actually use some of the olive oil as well. So I'm going to do half and half. Originally I was going to do basically about 1,000 grams of rice bran. I'm going to do 500 and 500. I'm going to mix the two. Okay, so again, we're going to tap this to be on. Let's do 500 of this first. Let's see if it's gonna. Okay, so I have 500. So now that I have the 500 grams over here, I'm gonna empty it into my bowl over here because this doesn't need heating or anything. Okay. Let me top of it. Okay, so now we go back to here, turn this back to 0, and do another 500 of the olive oil. So there we go. So we have another 500 of this. Again, this gets mixed into this. Now I'm gonna mix my scent. So if you want, for example, you can add any scent that you want, any essential oil that you want at this point. This time I'm gonna use rose oil. You can use lavender. Last time that I made this, I used bergamot. So this time it's gonna be rose oil. So, and again, you can add this to your desire. I like it a little bit stronger, so I add more drops into this, but if you want less, so you can add less. So I'm going to do somewhere around like 70 or so drops into this. Let me see, there's a malfunction in this thing, I think, but I'll find out. Okay, so 2, 3. added somewhere around like 80-85 drops basically, because I wanted a little bit more rose scent than anything else. So now I'm gonna wait for this to completely melt. It's still not melted completely. Okay, so as you see now, this is completely melted. I'm gonna take this to the original pot. I'm gonna turn this off, and we're gonna dump it into the rest of the oil, just like that. Okay. So now I also have to measure and see what is the temperature of the oil. So let's reset this. This is actually good. So let me test the lye as well and see what is the temperature of the lye. (116). It's supposed to be like around 104. So I rather wait a little bit. It's okay if my oil is a little bit cooler, but I just have to wait for this for a little bit more so that it comes down a little bit more, and then we'll go about mixing them. Okay, so now we're gonna measure this one more time. This is the lye mixture. It's around 113 or so, 112, 111. It's going down. Even now, it's actually safe to use it. So I'm going to put that aside. I'm going to take the lye. Now I have a hand mixture here, a hand mixer in here. So I'm going to do mixing of the oil as I'm putting the lye in there, okay? So I will take this and I'm going to put the lye just little by little. You might not hear me when this is going on because it's going to be a little bit noisy, okay? Once in a while you're going to stop and see if there's any traceability, and right now there's no traceability, so I'm going to keep going. As you see, it leaves traces. You see, you can see actually the shape of the blender in here when I'm doing this. That is when it's ready actually to be poured into the molds that I have. So this is called traceability. So I'm going to take this off. And I'm going to grab my... Okay, so I grab my ladle, and I'm going to just take this and fill this. Sometimes it becomes a little bit messy. If I'm careful, it won't be. And I'm going to pour it into the mold. It's up to you how thick of a soap you want to make, basically. I like them large and sort of thick. It's easier to hold in the hand and it lasts longer too. So once I do this, I usually just take a spoon and go around it and just even it out. You can put shapes on it if you like. A lot of people like to do fancy things. I just make pure simple soaps. So that's one of them. And then I'm gonna move on to filling the next. So now I have put them into 2 molds. I have more that I'm gonna put in other molds too. So I'm gonna have to let this sit for 24 to 48 hours because then it becomes a little bit more solid. Once it's solid, it comes out of these flexible molds basically, and you can put it in this little thing over here and you can cut it to the sizes that you want. If you don't have this, it's okay too. You can even use any kind of knife to cut it because it's very easy to cut, and you can cut it to the sizes that you want. I usually cut it to a size like this, right? This is an older one that I had made. This is the bergamot that I made last time. So I usually cut it to that size. And this is sort of like after, I would say, a month of use that I have had. And I wash my hair with this, my face. So this is my face and hair and everything else soap, sort of. So so it lasts quite a bit. It lasts quite a long time. And it's healthy because, you know, there's no other chemicals in it. And it's good for your skin and everything else with the healthy oils that we have used in this. Hope you have enjoyed this. My videos are available on TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook, as well as Telegram. I hope you have enjoyed this. Like, share, and follow for more. Be the light.